All right, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to DC Fine Art. Now, I am so sorry. We're starting in probably about a minute. I'm probably like a minute or two. I don't know, a little late, running behind. So, I know as you can see, I've been doing, trying to get things changed up in the art room. So, that is the reason why there's clutter in the background. I know there was already clutter. And then, I also added some nice pink lights back there. And I also put some lights around my easel too, just to have some fun. And, or not my easel, but my palette where I have my paints. And so I just been kind of changing things up, changing things around, and I'm thinking about doing a whole entire revamp, which means like moving the center here that I usually work on because I know I'm doing a lot of like not just painting, but I've been doing a lot of drawings or color pencils. And I've been trying to work with this table, but the camera setting on it and the way I have it is just not working out for me very well. So I'm thinking about either moving this whole entire table over here that I work on to record and move it over here to this side, or moving my computer over there and everything else and just rechanging everything. So definitely been doing a lot of work, revamping, removing everything. So as far as Patreon, you guys got a charcoal drawing that I did of a French bulldog, which I absolutely love doing. Now I did that one in charcoal just to kind of show how I did a short fur on a dog. So if you guys are having any issues with, doing like fur and not for sure on how to do that, I did the charcoal for the French bulldog. So the next one that I'm going to do is going to be another charcoal for Patreon, and it's going to be a long fur. So we're looking at possibly doing a little Yorkie. I know that one of my Patreons, and she's a dear friend, she went ahead and sent me in one of her pictures of her little dog. And so I was like, and it was a little Yorkie. So I was like, well, that's perfect. So may end up doing him in charcoal just to kind of show how to do some longer fur. So definitely some fun things going on over on Patreon, and wanting to increase my charcoal lessons over there on that category. So today we're going to be doing a mixed media piece. Hi Barbara, how are you? It's been a nice day out today. I hope you had the good warm weather, because we actually had warm weather. So I hope it's either going your way. Maybe. I don't know. Usually it hits here before it hits there, so you never know. So, but we are going to be doing a mixed media now, and that was because of the polls too. I did do a poll, and mixed media definitely won. It was either, so far it was like a battle between color pencil and mixed media. Mixed media ended up winning, but um, yeah, I've been kind of running behind here. So I was actually thinking about doing this piece here. I showed it on the thumbnail if you guys would see. I call it the lucky chicken. And let me turn this around so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Barbara, I was sick. I heard it was nice but windy. LOL. Aw. Yeah, it over here it wasn't really too windy, but it actually was nice. If it was windy, it probably would have been like, it would have given me chills. The wind in this time of year, sometimes it never blows warm. Let me look here. Okay, so now we got to switch to over. But I call it the lucky chicken. And it's because it looks like you got the deck of cards, like casino cards, and then the dice, on the bottom. And then you got this chicken. And I was also wanting to incorporate it with not just a lucky chicken, but I also wanted to incorporate Valentine's Day, or at least have something Valentine's Day. So I was thinking hearts. So that's why all these cards have the hearts on them. And I was like, oh, it's perfect. So we're going to do this for kind of like a Valentine's Day lucky chicken kind of casino theme, which I think it'll be a whole lot of fun. Now, as far as choosing what medium to work with, I was a little bit baffled on it. because I was like, okay, what can I do? I'm going to have some fun with this. And I went ahead and pulled out a canvas. Let me get the, let's see here, where it is. Took it off. Everything's like so mixed around over here. So the canvas that I'm using is the Fredericks Mixed Media Canvas Board, and it says Artist Series, and it says it accepts watercolor, acrylic, alcohol ink, airbrush, and other Aquarius-based media. It's 100% archival cotton artist canvas. So, and it's acid-free, gesso, rigid, non-warping hardboard core. And it's an 8x10, so it is kind of a smaller one. But I figured it would be nice to kind of work with this, and you're able to work with several different mediums on it. So pretty cool. And I picked out, let's see here, where's my stuff? Okay. I figured we can work in like doing like a gouache, maybe using some acrylic paints. It's always nice. I think those actually turned out very matte. And I just figured, why not use them? So, and then the background, I know the background, I really wanted it to be kind of like a gray tone, but I didn't know if we should throw in inks. We could throw in inks. Let's see what I got. These here are Graphics Aqua inks. I think these would be a lot of fun to throw in. It's kind of sparkly though. We got gold. Let's see here. We got bronze, which I think those would be too shiny. I don't really want anything shiny. I definitely was thinking more of a gray tone for a background. Or even a blue. Because we definitely have blue that's in the cards too, but we'll probably end up just doing a gray. And we can do the background and pretty much anything. Thinking, yeah, I don't really want to add ink for the background. We're just going to do it with some, I want it really light. I'd really like watercolor, to be honest, because if you have the background kind of looking a little faded, not so, I mean, I don't really want it bright. So we're going to do watercolor for the background. Let me see if I can find like a nice colors here. We got some Daniel Smiths that I've been loving to use. Let's see here. We got all different kinds of colors. Anybody got any recommendations? Oh, so many. I mean, I'm doing like a blue. I really like these too. Jean Haynes Master Artist Set. They come in some really pretty colors here. But she's got a lot of the greens, blues, purples. But I definitely want it to be not so bright. Because if you can put something in the background that doesn't really stand out much, it's more washed out, and then have this, the basically stand out, then that's really what I want to go for. I would do these pinks, but these pinks will collide. These dice here are going to be pink. So what's the blue called? Lunar? Yeah, lunar. I don't know if I like saying that word. Let's see if I can find it. Lunar blue. Okay, so let's just do that. It'll be a little bit darker of a blue, but it is very pretty. And then I think that's all we really need. We'll put these back. I don't want to get them all mixed up. Okay. Oh, where's my spritzer? Boy, I am just full of it. You can tell I have been not ready. Oh, I'm a dingbat. You guys can't see anything when I put brushes in front of you. Oh my gosh. I do that. If you guys notice that I put something in front of it and you guys can't see, please let me know. There's a little bit. Little droplet, that's all you really need. If we need more, we can always add more. I'm running out of my water. And let me get my brush. We're just going to use a brush that I can get full coverage with. Let's try this one. Oh, now I'm getting a phone call right at the wrong time. Oh, 1 second. Like, I think I should send down a message ahead of time. I can see. I know, right? Yeah, I put that right in the way. Oh, and now little Whiskey is going to join us. Hopefully I didn't put too much. I always end up putting too much down. I'm not too worried. Usually I like to work flat. This time I'm not working flat, and Whiskey, oh, he came in, seen me, and then he left. I'm hoping he doesn't need to go to the bathroom. Oops. Hey baby, what you doing? Oh, Whiskey. He just shoves himself right in here. And he gave my other hamster, I have a winter white hamster. I did end up losing Stella, but it was kind of expected because she was getting pretty old, and it was hard. Don't get me wrong, it's never easy, but it was kind of expected. So that's what made it a little bit better, but also the fact that she passed in her sleep, which made it a little bit better there too. So, but I have another hamster, and she's moved into Stella's tank, which she absolutely loves. Got a lot more room. But she got a scare today. She did not like at all when I was like moving things around and putting things on the wall. I was making a lot of noise, which she's fine with. Like, she's used to the noise. Whenever I make noise, she's fine. But my puppy was like jumped up. Whiskey like jumped up on me because I was holding tape in my hand, and he wanted to see what I was holding. And when he jumped up in my lap, like on my legs, not even on the tank, she started screaming. She's seen him and just started screaming and screaming. And then she tried to get her stuffing to try and close up her little home. All right, she has like a little doorway, like a little circle, and that she goes in and out of. And she tried everything to try and get the stuffing put in to block her home, and say the heck with that. That dog scared me. So yeah, she got a scare today. But it wasn't really, it didn't last too long, because 3 minutes later I seen her peek her head back out, and I said, hey Pebbles, come here, come here. And Pebbles came out, and you know what? Okay. I thought Whiskey just took something out of my trash can and left. Um, I told her to come here, and she came up to me, and I gave her a treat, and she was perfectly fine. So just that puppy really scared her. Let me go ahead and get this. Let me go ahead and get this in and around this little chicken. Trying to do the best I can to get around these cards, but you know, whenever you paint over them with more of an opaque, like the acrylics or anything like that, it should be fine. You should be able to go over anything that I kind of went over the line with this watercolor. Really like to add some stronger pigment in there. I'm going to give it a mist. We may actually add some more to it because I definitely want an interesting background. I like to have an interesting background. Definitely has some dark kind of forming, which is kind of cool. Let's see here, Barbara. You don't have to answer this, so I'm going to leave this running and then rewatch later. I'm sleepy. Okay, that's fine. Aw. Well, definitely get your rest for sure. I know how it is, totally. There's been times that I've been so tired and I'm like, nope, I gotta have a nap. I gotta have a nap. I like naps. That's if I can get one. If I can get one, I will take a nap. But most of the time, something's not letting me take a nap. Like, nope. All right, so we got a lot of this blue laid down. I really would like to throw in some more colors into it than just this blue. It is really pretty. I know you see some of these wash marks. It would look a whole lot better if this was laying flat and I could add a little bit more water to it. So because I'm working on a easel with it sitting upright, it's really hard to kind of work with it. And we are working with a mixed media, so I can add in some other colors in here. Here is the aqua inks. We can always add some of this in here. What is this? Petrol? My hair's attached. My hair was longer than all the other hair on my head. That was weird. Here I am pulling out my hair in front of you guys. I'm like, oh my god. Okay. Now a lot of this here, it's just like, it doesn't have anything, and that's the only thing that's kind of a bummer, is that it really doesn't have like a little syringe that you can squirt or squeeze, whatever, and then put it inside of your like your little tray. So you literally either got to dip your brush into the bottle to get this out. And if you guys haven't heard of the aqua inks, the graphic aqua inks, these are really nice because they're reworkable. They're almost like watercolor. Like you can put it on your canvas or on whatever, and then if it dries, you can always come back to it and you can re-wet it and rework it. So that's really neat. I kind of like that. They're very, very pigmented, so they got a lot of pigment in it. It's very pretty colors. But if you're wanting to put some in a little tray or something, then I would suggest this if you have like a little dropper, then to use this. Just pull out some. May have pulled out too much. Let me go ahead and clean this out so that way I don't have a bunch of ink in there. My daughter's supposed to be babysitting the puppy. I really hope she's babysitting the puppy. I told her, I was like, you gonna watch after the puppy? And she said, yeah. And then what happens? I hear her go upstairs and leave the puppy. So I'm like, oh my gosh, my daughter, come on, back me up there. All right, so I'm gonna dip some of that in here. And I'm really wondering, I wonder if I can do some drips. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna kind of do something like this. Looks like they're needing a whole bunch of water on this side. But I'm gonna add some water to the top. And maybe it'll run. I'm hoping it doesn't run too far. Just want some really cool effects. That one's getting pretty close. I'm gonna hurry up and see if I can't intervene it or intercept it here. I think these teal colors will look really pretty because I'm going to be adding some pink in there. Those dice are going to be pink. Sounds like there's a lot of water coming out of that. Let me go in. I'm going to try and add just a little bit more. I'm going to be very careful. I'm just going to give it one little spritz. I don't want it to go too crazy, but I'm really liking the way that this looks, how it's dripping down. Now, I really like to add some, maybe possibly, I'm going to add a little bit more. Let's get some more of that. Where's that color? Petrol. I'm just rinsing this out real quick. Get my brush. I think I got quite a bit on there. I'm kind of a little bit afraid that I'm going to add too much to it. But if I do this, maybe some of it might go a little bit darker, I'm hoping. So that's looking pretty good. Might want to add a little bit more in there. Oh, that one is scaring me. It's going a little bit too fast. And it's already intercepted where I want it to go, so we'll just put my little paper towel right there, kind of soak it up. Okay. That does look nice though. I do like the way that looks. Looks pretty cool. Most of it will all be covered up with our acrylic paint, but I'm going to see if we can't turn it upside down and try working on this side and trying to get it to go. Let's see here. We got it all coming down. I don't know if we can actually, we can try it. See how this looks. Oops. Made a mess myself. I got quite a bit on this one. Let's go ahead and put a little bit more in here. I really would like to get it coming. Let me go ahead and give it a spritz. Hopefully it'll run and kind of spread. Oops, that may be a little bit too much. We'll just see. It looks pretty good. I know we got a little bit of this dice in here, but it should be fine. This has got some really cool colors. Add a little bit more, some dark in here, or at least get maybe another layer of it. There we go. I got some really nice coloration going on, some richness in there. That one may be a little bit thick. Let me go ahead and absorb this. Okay. I like the way that looks. Trying to move it to where it's starting to spread out a little bit. Trying to spread it kind of evenly here. All right. So now we got a pretty cool looking background. It may not look like much right now, but whenever you start putting in your actual drawing and start painting it in there and covering up, this here will stick out, hopefully, above this. So this is going to pop. This is going to be in the background set back. So now that I went ahead and got my background just the way I like it, looks really pretty. This down here in the bottom, I'm not too worried about because I can easily go in there and make some shadows. We got a deck of cards in there, so I'm not too worried about that in this area. I mean, we could throw a little bit of that petrol in there if we wanted to. I mean, there's nothing saying that you can't. I'm gonna put what I can back in. Always try and save what I can. Now, if I can remember, I did get these System 3 original acrylic paints from Powerful Packs, and they gave me a whole set in one of the month's boxes, and tell you what, I think I'm going to use them. I forgot if they were opaque or not, or how opaque they were. So I'm going to go ahead and move this on up. I'm going to kind of wipe down my area, especially if I'm going to be working with some whites. I don't really want to mix in whites with some of this teal going on here. Okay. And that's some gouache, which we could do gouache, but I'd really like to get those cards done with the acrylic paint. Let's go ahead and open these up. And if you guys have any questions or you just want to chat along, feel free to ask me any questions, chat along. Feel like telling me how your day is, or maybe what you have been working on yourself as far as art-wise. Oh, hi, Pebbles. Hi, Pebbles. Aw, she is right now running in her wheel. I think she just wants. Aw, she's having fun. Oh, hey, Rachel. I don't know where Rachel is. My daughter needs to get the cat. Because I get to see Pebbles screaming her guts out because the cat's in here. Or maybe not. I don't know. Alright. Actually, the cat will probably get scared because I use a hairdryer. I'm going to make sure this is dry, so I'm going to go ahead and hairdry it before I apply the white onto the deck of cards. Now, there is going to be some shadows. You don't want to just go straight white with the deck of cards. You may want to do a little bit of a shadow, like use some gray tones in there, just to kind of show that there is some sort of light reflection going on. That's what I'm going to do with this, but first I'm going to go ahead and paint it with white so that way I get a nice clean canvas back. So let me go ahead and hair dry this really quick. And not hair dry it, it's not hair, but I'm using a hair dryer. I'm going to mute you guys for just a second so no ears are busted. All right, I am back. So now that we got that done, I'm going to go ahead and take out my brush and we're going to start um, getting these cards painted. What are we at? We're at a good time. Especially the areas that kind of sort of went over. If it's already white, I probably wouldn't be painting it. But if you have kind of went over your card or went over your drawing, then I'd probably just go ahead and paint it. And that's the one thing too, is that this paint likes to reactivate, even the ink. So I'm having some of it start to reactivate when I'm painting over it. So maybe it's a good thing too to cover it. That way when the acrylic paint dries, it won't have anything reactivate. There we go. And then down here with the dice. Oop. I want to change the position of that dice too. Don't really like, you can see the side of it. All right. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, this here I'm not too worried about. It wasn't too much to really worry about too much. Okay. Definitely had that paint reactivate. Okay. think I got some edges that I need to do, or at least some sides right in here. Just a couple little sides of the card. Here we go. All right, I think it looks pretty good. I don't really think I have to worry too much about this, but you never know. All right. Here we go. Now, just to make sure that that white is dry and it's not still wet, and then whenever I layer it on top of it, I want to make sure that that is completely dry first. So I'm going to go ahead and blow dry that so I can speed up the process of the dry time, which shouldn't be that long because it is our acrylics, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, and then we'll add our layer and start working on these deck of cards. Oh, look what I did. There. Now you guys can see. Sorry about that. Actually, we forgot one more area, and I just now noticed it. So before I actually forgot about the chicken's head here. Eh, I don't think it's really going to matter on him, though. Not too much. But there, I ended up adding a little bit to that. And just a little bit more. Good. Now let me go ahead and blow dry this. All right. So Whiskey came in here, my little puppy, and he was super excited, started jumping all over me because he went to the bathroom when my daughter took him out. So he was super excited. He wanted to tell me, and he got a treat. So he was tickled to death to tell me all about it in puppy language. So basically wagging the tail and trying to jump all over me, like super excited. I'm so proud of him. And now he's going to play with the cat and show that he's super excited. So anyways, let me go ahead and put some more of this white down, a little bit more, because we're going to need it. And then we're going to put down some, I'm going to say some like black. I mean, it ain't like I have gray in this. So we're mixing colors here. Mars black is what they had in here. So we'll do some Mars black. Ooh. Some sort of liquid with that. That's really weird. Maybe it might end up, I thought it was more of a matte, but who knows? Maybe it's more glossy. So we're going to mix our white and our black up. We're going to get a light gray. Right now that looks like a little bit too dark, so let me go ahead and grab a whole lot more of the white. There we go. Not really like the Liquitex Basics on the acrylic paints for the System 3. It's like kind of um kind of glossy like kind of feel to it. So we're just going to paint this in, kind of go around our little heart here. I wouldn't really worry too much on a shadow just yet. If you're working on shadows, I wouldn't worry about it. Not yet. I may have to switch over to a smaller brush too. This is basically a light gray, and you can go either way with this. So basically, and I mean either way, meaning I can still go lighter than this color, and I can still go darker. So that's why I call it my base tone, because I can go either way with it. Hopefully I got a steady hand today. I don't know if I do. Sometimes I do, and some days I just don't. Probably depends on how much caffeine I had today. Now before I jump on over to doing another card, because you have this base layer, right? And if you jump on over to your other card, you're going to end up, basically it's going to look like one solid card, and you won't be able to tell where your lines are that you drew in. So I would suggest that before you hop on over to your next card, that you go ahead and create that shadow that you're wanting to do with the cards layered on top of each other. It won't be a whole big layer. It'll be a big shadow. It'll be a little shadow. It won't be that big. I'm going to switch out of this brush. I really would like to get a round brush, so let's see what I have here. I'm just kind of pulling up brushes that I used. I think they're for my cow. I was working on that acrylic painting for my kitchen. Okay. I even covered up the heart. My goodness. Wasn't even looking at that. Paint definitely dries fast though. Already dried. And the other thing too about this paint I'm noticing is that when it dries, it definitely goes a little darker. I mean, the other paint, my Liquitex Basics that I use, does the same thing, but it's not, I don't know if it's as noticeable as this. This looks pretty noticeable. Okay. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of my black, mix it in with what my brush has. I don't really want to spray my canvas because I don't really want to reactivate any of that pigment, the watercolor, and then have it start going down. Need a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Got that shadow in there. Is there any uneven lines? It just depends on how picky you want to be about it. Okay. So now that I got that in there, I'm going to switch back over to my other brush. And I want to get a little bit of a highlight going on. So I'm going to take some of my white. Mix it in with some of the lighter gray that I've already had. So that way it's not straight white. There's a very little of the gray. And there really isn't much reflection on this card in the reference photo. Or at least like a light source hitting it, but I'm adding some in there. Let's take a little bit more of my gray. Mix in there. I also need to get the center of that 10. And I'm kind of leaving a little bit of that shadow still in and around those feathers of the chicken. There we go. Okay. Which looks pretty good. So I will leave that. I know it probably looks like a whiteout screen to you guys. There is a difference in grays. Rachel. She's not refereeing the kitty and puppy very good, I don't think. They like to play and they just make so much noise. Sounds like the dog's killing the cat and it's not. You go in there and you're like, hey, and then they both of them will sit there like cat on the ground and the dog on top of her, and she turns around and they both just stare at you like, what? And then after they get through staring at you, then the cat turns around, starts biting the dog to go ahead and keep playing. And I'm like, okay, never mind. Whatever. You guys just go ahead and eat each other. It's like, my goodness. Yep. They definitely play rougher than most. Or not really rough, but it's like, they definitely play a little bit too much. I'm going to put a little bit of a light in there. I think it'll be fine. Okay, so we're going to move on to the other card, and we need to go ahead and get that in there. Or at least the same kind of color. So we're going to do the same type of thing, but we're going to do it on the next card, and then the next card, and so forth. Hey, baby, what you doing? What you doing, Whiskey? Huh? What you doing? Hmm? You being good boy? Nope, don't mess with the camera. You look tired. Were you seriously playing that hard? Get out of my truck. Nope. Rachel, Whiskey's got my trash. And now the chase begins. Oh, you got him real quick. Thank you, baby. I'm gonna have to put the trash can up where he can't get it. No, Whiskey. Nope. And we'll set it up there. He is just searching for something that he can get. Huh? Looks like we still have some of that teal petrol type of color still in there. Or if I may have hit it with my brush. Looks like I may have hidden it. Looks like there's a little bit on my brush. I'm gonna have to switch it on over when we get into these tighter areas. Switch it on over to a smaller brush. In all reality, if you have any of that petrol color that ends up getting into your painting, I wouldn't really stress too much about it because white cards are going to have a reflection of its surroundings. So if you have a little bit of that petrol kind of showing through, it shouldn't be no big deal. Don't stress over it or anything. So there is that. Looking good. Put too much on that brush. What you doing, Whiskey? You sniffing? You're looking for something, aren't you? You're like, what can I get and run out of here with that you will have to chase me down and leave this easel? I hope nothing. Hopefully I did my job and I picked up everything. Okay. Hopefully. Hey, Whiskey, come here. No, what do you got? What is that? It's like a piece of my slipper, my old slipper. You know what? There's one slipper that he chewed up and I couldn't find it. I threw one away and then I lost my slipper. Maybe he found it. I bet he's got it hidden somewhere. Okay, so now I've got this gray base tone in there. Also got it down here. And so you guys know what's next once we do that. We gotta go to the shadow. So let's go ahead and add a shadow in there. So it's just this darker toned gray. I'm just going to take it on down there, and then we're going to do the same thing right in here. Take it on down. All right, so now we got a shadow that breaks apart these two cards. So once that's done, I'm going to come in here with my lightest color. I'm hoping this is dry. There's where I got that green from. I'm going to come in here and add some of my lighter colors in there. And just remember, if you're wanting to add like a even brighter highlight, you can always go back in and add a brighter highlight to any of this. Once it's dry, you can come back in and do that. Maybe to the edge of the cards, or kind of doing a little bit. I'm not trying to get too close to the chicken because I really want that to stay a little bit darker. Probably in there too. Might want to add just a little, maybe just a little bit right in here, actually. Yeah. Kind of took away from my shadow here. Hmm. Yeah. There we go. Now we got that shadow in there. And then we can go on to the next one and just let that one dry. So we only got just a couple more cards, at least two more cards. One, two, well, actually three. Let's get these bottom ones. On the bottom of the cards, I would just go ahead and just leave it your base color, like right in here. This is a part of the cards also. I think we need to put it just a little bit darker, creating a little bit more of a shadow. That'll work. Make that slightly darker. I think my daughter found my Doritos. I stashed them and she found them. You can hear her crunching on them. I'm like, oh my goodness, my Doritos. They're gonna be all gone. She wants to eat them all. Not save me any Doritos. I was waiting for a giggle. She ain't listening. So that's okay. All right, so I got those cards down there done. let's go ahead and get more of this done. And that's the one thing about, you know, I know with me, some of this can be a little bit tedious working on a lot of detail and going over several different cards. I wish it would be quicker, but it don't really happen that way. Especially whenever I pick something that I thought of that happened to have a lot of detail in it. I was really kind of wondering, it could have been, and this drawing basically could have went either way. I could have done this in color pencil, um, or just do it like a mixed media would be fine too. I originally had this drawing picked out as a color pencil, but then I was actually kind of was going back and forth in my head on the paper that I had it on was a gray tone paper. And then I was like thinking, oh my goodness, if I do this on this gray tone paper and then doing these cards, it's going to be a lot of layering with a lot of white and gray and trying to get these in there. And I thought, you know, it'd be so much easier just to paint them in instead of having to do color pencil for the whole entire deck of cards. So much easier to do it this way. Like, I mean, it's like easier meaning, I shouldn't say easier, but meaning quicker. It's a lot quicker than color pencil. Because I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a lot of layering to get it done. And then I put out that poll for you guys. And I seen color pencil was going to win. I was like, okay, well, I've already got it laid out for color pencil. Just knew it's going to be a little bit longer, you know. And then mixed media came through and won on the poll. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to have to transfer my drawing to a different type of like canvas. Shouldn't be no big deal there. And then I can paint the background a lot easier with the cards. So it was kind of like it worked either way. So there's that shadow. Where's my other shadow? Okay, up here. Yeah, I was like gonna say that's a chicken's head. Not quite. Not quite the chicken's head. Okay. Go ahead and get, oops, got the wrong color. Go ahead and get a lighter tone gray. This really, I don't know, to be honest with you guys, if I chose which kind of paint that I like better, Liquitex Basics or the System 3, I don't know. I'm really starting to think that I like my Liquitex Basics better than this. Just like you try and put water or try and mix it with water to make it a little bit more runnier. Easier. It's supposed to be easier to work with. Not this stuff. This stuff here, you add water to it and it still dries out way too quick. Okay, looks about right. Okay, let's go ahead and get this card here on the bottom taken care of. If I'm not mistaken now, I do believe these paints, even though they dry quicker, I thought they were more matte, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be thinking something different here. Maybe they are a little bit, they feel like they're more glossier. Feels like I'm working with plastic. Sounds bad, doesn't it? But that's okay because I was actually making this for my room in here. So that is perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and create this shadow. Go ahead and create this shadow up here. All right, and then I'm gonna go on. This is basically the top card, or yeah, it's the top card. If we want to create any kind of shadow in there, we can. If you wanted to, you can always kind of put a little bit of a shadow. Oops, went into my little dice there. Let's get in between these little legs here. All right. I did notice that right in here, my line kind of disappeared for some reason. I must have hit it. I don't know. Let's go ahead and get to moving. Let's create this other card. I didn't go with the light color yet. Oops. Just covered up my shadow. Oh. It looks pretty good. Hey baby, what you doing? What you doing, Whiskey? What you doing? You come to see mommy? Don't be messing around with that. Be good. So now we're going to go ahead and put in our shadow on the top of this card here. I'll add a little bit more. I just went ahead and did that shadow anyway. Putting in that one. That way you can kind of see it. And then we have the bottom part of this card here. So we got the big Ace to work with. Let's go ahead and I didn't put any highlights. I'm basically putting the base layer, and then I'm also trying to go in and put in my shadows. I'll put in my highlights toward the end where I think they should go. I also got right in here. Don't really want to miss that part. Get the shadow in there. Okay, I'm going to take out my bigger brush here. That way I get a little bit more coverage a little quicker. Get in and around that heart. At least as close as I can. I could always go back through with my detail round brush to get around those smaller areas. But any of these bigger areas that you can get with your larger brush would definitely help. Isn't anything, actually it was a part of the heart there, I think, let's see. Yeah, there's a heart right there. So I thought right in there. Sometimes you can't see it. Sometimes when I draw, I don't really make things as visible as what I should have. That's why it's nice to always have that reference photo at hand when you're working with your artwork. So you can just kind of compare it and look at it and be like, oh, okay. Totally missed that, but I could put it in. Probably as close as I can get to those dice without not having to use a smaller brush. Let me go ahead and turn this, since it should be dry. I'm going to turn this sideways just so that way I can get the bottom a little bit easier. Okay. So now I'm going to rinse out my brush, get that smaller detail round so I can get in and around a lot of those areas that I couldn't reach with my larger brush. Okay. Starting to feel a little bit dry. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to these paints. Okay. Kind of made that heart a little bit wonky there. I know I heard my puppy. I don't know if he just flopped down on the other side of the my art desk here or what, but I just heard him just flop. He sleeps in here a lot with me though. Whenever I'm doing my artwork, he will come in and sleep with me. I wouldn't say with me, but I don't sleep in my art room, but he comes in here and lays down and sleeps while I work. I wish I had a little bit bigger studio because that would definitely help. Could actually put a nice bed in here for him. But there is like no room. And I don't know, once I get all this rearranged again, because I haven't moved it around, but since I actually moved in here, but I'm gonna move it around and see if I can't make room in this room. Like sometimes when you move things around, things open up and it just feels like there's more room. Like it just makes the room feel a little bit bigger. And so I'm going to attempt to do that. I've already moved quite a bit around already. I had already moved, which is really sad, but I had moved Stella's, or I think it was actually, I moved Pebbles and Stella closer together with their little, tanks. And when I did that, I figured that they might be able to see each other through the glass, but not actually be in the same tank. But they can kind of like be next to each other to just kind of see each other. They couldn't smell each other or anything, but I thought it would be kind of cool because Pebbles always looks through the tank, and Stella used to too. But then I noticed that not only was Stella like getting really old and she turned from brown to basically all gray. I mean, she was gray gray. Like whenever she came out, she looked like an ancient hamster. She was super gray, and I can't believe how much she aged between the time of taking a picture and like December, the beginning of December to now. I mean, she went gray quick, and we knew she was getting old. But yeah. She never did get that chance though. She didn't get her treat, and that's when I noticed that something was wrong. Because whenever she didn't get her treat at night, as she normally does, she loves waking up and getting that treat. And so I was just like, okay, something's happening. This is not good. I think it's about that time. And I told my son and I told my daughter, so they were all prepared. And then I checked on her and she was like sleepy eyed looking at me. And I was like, okay, she's still okay, but she's not eating her treats. So we'll just see what happens. And then the next day, she still didn't eat her treat. And my son just kind of checked on her. I said, check on her and see what she's doing. And he said she was all sleepy eyed and just kind of looked at him and was just like all sleepy eyed, like, what are you doing? I'm sleeping. And so he's like, okay, she's just sleeping, Mom. She's fine. I'm like, okay. And then it was the next day when I checked on her that she was, she was gone. And she was just sleeping. So that was probably the best thing that happened to her. She was all little eyes closed. So, I mean, it was just like, just sleeping. And I'm like, aw. And I think and I know this is probably kind of weird, or I don't know, maybe some of you might think it's silly, but I could have swore she came and seen me. And it happened yesterday. And I had a cup of coffee, and it was basically empty. There was like really no coffee left. It was just my cup with a little bit of coffee that maybe was on the bottom, but it had been sitting there for a while. So it was already at room temperature. It was an empty cup, and I was sitting there drawing, and when I was drawing, I heard like a ting, 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 ting on my cup, and I thought, oh my God, I like literally jumped. Like, I was like, what the heck? And I'm looking at my cup thinking, is there like a really big beetle inside of it or something? I mean, that's scary. I don't like bugs. And so I slowly started peeking into the cup just to kind of see, and there was nothing there. And I was like, okay, what made the noise? So then I seen that I had like a ruler, and it wasn't like a wooden ruler, but I had like a little light flimsy plastic ruler that was next to it, and I kind of bumped it up against the cup again to see if I can't remake that noise. Nope, I could not make that noise again. Like, it sounded like fingernails. Like if you had long fingernails and you just clinged on the side of a cup, like on the top part of the cup. And so I was like, what the heck? So I took one of my charger cords, like the end of it, and just kind of like dangled it to kind of ting it. And I was finally able to make that noise. And I'm like, there is nothing around this cup. I felt the cup. The cup didn't feel like there was anything hot or too cold to make it um, maybe adjust, maybe temperature fluctuation or something. But it would have already done that a long time ago. That cup's been sitting there for a while. So, and then it finally dawned on me. I was like, oh my God, it was a ghost. And then I was like, maybe a ghost did it. And then I thought about it. I was like, oh my God, that sounded like Stella whenever she would like want to try something out, or if it was something that was there, she would take her little teeth and just like ding 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 like nibble on it, and it sounded just like it. I was like, oh my God. And then I thought about it, I was like, I think Stella was here. So I think she came back and visited me. I think she was trying out my cup, like saying, what is this? And my daughter is just like, I think she did. I think Stella did visit you. She goes, it had to have been to make a noise like that. And so it kind of made me feel good, just making me feel like she was there. Plus, that I was like, oh boy, now Stella can get on top of my art table in her little spirit form. So who knows? My hamster is probably having fun. Like, wow, I can go places I wasn't able to get to before. I'm gonna try and make this a little bit lighter. Especially toward the top. At least the top card. So I'm just going in and I'm adding a little bit more of like, just like white to it. Oops. Didn't mean to cover up my heart though. I don't know if I'm really worried too much about my brush strokes, whether or not you can see them or not. Sometimes I like to use my blender brush and just kind of blend them out, make it more smoother, but I don't know if I really care too much on blending these out. See, I like that. Kind of might look a little bit with the reflection kind of on there, but I got a little, I don't know, it just seems literally bright. I bet whenever I put in that red though, for the hearts, it will definitely change. So let's go ahead and um, could end up doing that. We're just, I mean, since I can go back in and we can add some more highlights to the card, I'd really like to go ahead and put in some of the red um, for the hearts and start getting that in there because it makes it a little bit easier to see too with the white. Because right now I'm getting a lot of glare from that white and the gray, and it just doesn't, the colors, it's just really bright. So we are going to go in. I got a crimson and I got a cadmium or red hue. So one's just a little bit brighter than the other. It's fine. I'm going to start off with using the bright red, and I'm going to go in, if I need to make it darker, we'll use the crimson red for any shadows. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, I can't see my reference photo. It's in the distance. Where does it end? Ends like right here, I think. I'll put just a little bit more on my brush. Okay. Let's go ahead and get, I don't really want it flat. Let's round it off on the brush. I may have to add a little bit of water to it. That way it kind of smooths, kind of easier than dry brushing, I can tell you that. Okay. We'll be getting some of that crimson red in here in just a moment. That is what we're going to use for the shadow. I think my puppy's in here. I'm gonna check real quick. I mean, usually I can hear him, like, especially whenever he breathes. Okay. This. And I do not have a steady hand today. I have a horrible hand today. For some reason. My hand does not want to cooperate. Putting in a little bit lighter of a color shade in here. It's almost putting in almost a pure white here. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the next card that I just got through doing some of the white for. Okay. I'll put the dark shadow in there, or at least the crimson. Let's go ahead and get this jack. This paint is really, I'm going to tell you right now, this paint just, for me, it's not the greatest to work with. That was a horrible curve. There, a little better. We're also going to have a blue line going here and here. So that's going to be blue. take some more of my crimson so I can make this little shadow. Hopefully, and stay in the line. I am so shaky for some reason. Go. Definitely looks like a reflection going off from the green to that. It's crazy because I even used almost pure white there. May have to try it again just to make sure I was using almost pure white. And it's crazy how it looks like that. It's like not the same color. It's crazy. I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead and do the queen. More water to it, hopefully. There we go. There's the queen. Oh, there's a heart underneath the queen. I just now noticed that. Before we hop on over to the ace. Okay. And let's go ahead and get this ace done. This should be dry. This stuff dries so quick. Okay. Here. And the ace is underneath of it. Underneath the chicken. So, ooh, a little bit too much water there. Wow. I have to be careful with that. Okay. And then we're going to go over here. And we're going to add in our next heart. Wonder why that looks like that. It's like my hearts are always never the same. I'm going to mix in some of this crimson with it. Oops. Need a little bit of water with that. Okay. And I think, oh, we got the bottom, which is hiding. So let's go ahead and turn this up, or at least we can turn it sideways. That'll probably still work. We could use the crimson for it. It don't really matter. It's all right, Pebbles. She got scared. I was just trying to get my lights up there, and part of it came off the wall. That's for part A, for an A. It's very small. And then we got a heart right in here. We're just getting this one here filled in. There we go. All right, so we're getting our cards. Now all we got to do is put in the blue line on the queen and the king. May need to make that a little bit darker though. I wonder if I got enough. Should. Yeah. Kind of like that darker color. Let's just make that a little bit darker then. And yeah, I can hear my puppy in here, so. Making that just slightly darker is all I did. Actually, there's one more area that I need to do that too. Right in here. There, I like that better. And I think there's still another red. Let me make sure I'm seeing that correctly. This right here. Shadow. I think there is. This is an ace. This is blocked off, so you really can't see what that card is. I am just going to make sure I cover it, make it into a shadow. Let's go ahead and get this blue in here and get the queen and the jack taken care of. Bebbles, what you doing, Bebbles? Oh, she's so sweet. Let's put some of this blue. I'm gonna give it a little spritz here. And hopefully, got a thin enough brush. I'm using this ultramarine, I think it is. Isn't that ultramarine? Let me see here. Yeah, it's ultramarine blue. Okay. So there is our cards. In here just doesn't look, it needs to be a little bit whiter. Let me see if I don't, let me add some more white in here. Maybe it's just my eyesight, you know? That is a little bit lighter, so that's good. And that's what I want. It was just a little bit too dark. There we go. That makes me feel a whole lot better. Let's go ahead and add just a little bit more of a highlight. Oh no, I just heard something outside that really was kind of creepy. So I'm adding in some white now as a bright, bright highlight. So this ought to make it really pop. Especially to the outside edges. Right around here. There we go. Oops. I went over my cream. I know. I guess I was like off with the red. My goodness. There. That makes me feel better. All right, and then we're going to add some more to the top of these cards here. Just adding in my highlights because of course I didn't add any in here yet. Just to the corners. There we go. And then we'll do the same thing to the outside edges of like right in here. Now the bottom I ain't too worried about because it was kind of in the shadow there. But for this here, I'm definitely going to add just, why is everything falling? I add a little bit in there. Let me cover up some of my shadow, which I didn't want to do. I'll put it back. Yeah, that's fine. All right, and we're going to see if we can add some more highlight to this ace. I'm going to take out straight white with it because it should have been a whole lot brighter than what it was. And we'll go pretty close. We'll go into it, but not completely. This is just plain white. Okay. So that added a pretty nice shadow to it. I mean, if we wanted to, on this bottom part here, we can add a little bit more. I know it is now, well, we're actually 2 hours in. Wow. And we just got done with these cards. It's a little crazy. I don't know if I wanted to do that, actually. I like it darker. We're having a change of heart here. But it definitely needs another layer. And then I'll pretty much, this is, I'm going to say it's summed up on the cards. You can always add another layer to it if there's some areas where it just seems a little thinned out. But for the most part, this actually looks pretty decent. And you can always go back in and add more shadows if you want to. But I'm really liking the way that looks. So that is basically it for the cards. Now, we'll end up making this a part 2. I really hate doing that, but it just, you know, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So the only thing I can say is that on next week, we can work on either the chicken or the dice. Pretty much I probably want to do the dice first, and then we can work on the chicken. So it'll be like some super bright neon kind of colored pink, but we're not actually going to use neon colors. We're going to make our own colors to make it look like they're kind of like bright pink. And so that's what's going to be here for the dice. And then we'll work on the chicken last because we're able to go ahead and layer on top of the chicken, or layer the chicken feathers on top of the cards. Let me go ahead and put this one more coat. He has a green head. There we go. So we will always, whenever you're painting, you always want to work from the very back and work your way on forward. So the chicken's going to be basically on top of the cards, on top of the dice. So the chicken will be last. Next week is, like I said, the dice. And we can also change up the medium if we're wanting to. But I'm actually thinking that the dice, I don't know. Maybe make them acrylic paint. Maybe we should try using some of the, yeah, because it's going to be hot pink. or at least like a nice bright pink. Yeah, we'll just keep it the acrylic on it. So we'll do the, well, we've done watercolor, we've done ink, and then we did the acrylic paint on top. So yeah, next week we're gonna go ahead and work on the dice. If we get done with the dice, hopefully within that time frame of the 2 hours, then we'll go ahead and start on the chicken. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream and chatting along with me while I do my artwork. It's definitely been fun. I hope you guys enjoying the mixed media. I think it's a really cool touch on how this looks, and I just can't wait till this is completely done because it's really gonna pop with these neon colors. I mean, just wait and see. And then this chicken, oh my God, it's such a funny chicken. I think it's really, I don't know, it's like a crazy chicken, but he's a lucky chicken because he's got all hearts and he's got his pretty pink dice there. So I guess until next time, remember to click the like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. It definitely helps the channel grow. I need to remember to say that even at the beginning. I know, I'm bad at doing it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. It's been a lot of fun, and I'll see you all on the next live stream. Bye, you guys.